Mark Upton. We have a very long and interesting history together. Mark was actually my principal when I moved here to China back in the end of 2004, and we've been friends ever since. Mark has set up and run multiple international schools, formed new school groups, and done many other interesting things in between. So I will pass you on to Mark, and he will, in his capable hands, and I'm sure he will.
Great, thanks, John. Can people hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, all good. Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, it's great to be able to follow on from you guys and to talk about answering these sort of questions and how additional professional development work can assist in what you're doing. And I think a good place for me to start is actually with the comments from both Martin and from Chris, if I may, because that sets the feeling. Martin started off, I've noted down here, asking, you know, whether the qualifications help in the classroom, and he talked about being able to open up and reconsider and move into new areas. And I think that's great, because that's what any form of professional development should be helping all of us to do. He also said that he answered the question, will it make me employable? And he was talking about yes, and for top schools. And for me, I'd like to take that point a bit further. I'd like to talk about how that will help you. And I believe it's the way in which you tell your story, how you convince a principal. And I've employed hundreds and hundreds of teachers, both back in the UK previously and here in China. And it's how you come across and how you use the research and the qualifications to tell your ongoing journey. I'll give you an example. I've never met Martin, but even from the way he was talking and even having his cat sat behind him told me something about him. It made it interesting. And we all know as teachers, we want people to latch onto things that inspire them. So I want to talk a little bit about unleashing your greatness through courses like this, and how you can unleash the greatness in kids. Because for me as a head, if I'm faced with an applicant and I've looked at their CV only briefly, I want to really talk to them and find out what they're about, I'm going to be asking myself the question, how is this teacher going to help unleash greatness in my students and also collaboratively amongst his or her colleagues? So I believe the courses that we're talking about give you the tools to be able to go into bat on that. Now, moving on to Chris, he talked about that the course gave him, it's good on the one hand being able to see other practitioners in action. And you might not get that with an online course, but what you're learning, you can take back and share with colleagues in depth. He also mentioned the importance of assessment for learning and not becoming obsolete. And I believe that for all of us as educators, we need to be carrying out ongoing lifelong learning. And this is a great way of you being able to do that. So I want to try to bring all of that together in a cohesive way that will help you formulate your own views, for you to ask further questions of Darby, and when you're in interview situations, how you can ask the right questions that firstly come over in the right way and help you tell your story, and secondly also provide you with a litmus test on what the school is like, because it should be a two-way process. You should be assessing, working out, is this really a place I want to work? Is this somewhere where I can unleash my greatness? Now, I've used that phrase a few times because I think after this session, John will be able to pass on to you a great paper that I will refer to now. and also covers the questions that we will be discussing. And it's called Unleashing Greatness, a Strategy for School Improvement, written by Professor David Hopkins and others. He's the chair of educational leadership at the University of Bolton, been around a long time, great character. And this particular paper I really like because in just a few pages, it sums up many of the key aspects I believe are at the heart of education today. And therefore, I think it's worth sharing with you. So in a minute, I'll move on to the particular questions. But when you get the paper, I would urge you to read the whole paper and to think about how it could apply both in terms of school improvement and for your own improvement and leadership. And you'll notice when you get the paper that I've just highlighted two aspects. I've highlighted in yellow some of the core factors within the discussion. And then I've highlighted in green some of the key questions that I've taken straight from the paper, which I believe you can then use as a tool within interviews and as a tool within the course as you do it.